What if I told you that a 2-6 football team in October was now in the hunt for the AFC's final playoff spot? The reigning Defensive Player of the Year was sidelined. A rookie quarterback was thrown into the fire against a murderer's row of defenses. And yet, they never lost their fight, winning 5 of their last 7 games to keep their hopes alive.
We got a great opportunity in front of us right now. Great opportunity in front of us. And you know it come down to us at the end of the day. You know it come down to us taking that ball away. You know it come down to us dominating on defense for 60 minutes. Nothing less, fellas, nothing less.
Now, Pittsburgh's chances are wrapped up in the fiercest rivalry in football.
Last time is last time, but this time is our time. Let's go get this time. Let's hunt on 3. 1, 2, 3, let's hunt.
For Baltimore, they can still win the division title. For the Steelers, thanks to scoreboard help today, playoff hopes alive and flickering.
We're still alive, baby, and that's what it takes.
Ain't no peace treaties today. Let's go.
The Steelers and Ravens always matter. But what if I told you that this time it means just a little more?
Here we go.
This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown.
That's the way to work. Come on.
He's hit and sacked. The Steelers win the football game.
Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show, everyone. I'm Bob Pompeani. You know, it was the next chapter in one of sports' best rivalries, and the game that was so highly anticipated that they had to flex it into prime time. Another growth opportunity for a very young offense that, as the game wound down in the final minutes for the second week in a row, needed a come-from-behind fourth-quarter touchdown drive, and they did not disappoint. But as we welcome in head coach Mike Tomlin, I know you are very mindful of when you use your padded practices, but I found it interesting that Tony Dungy brought up on the broadcast that you decided on a Friday, and I guess that's pretty unusual for you, but you sensed what Baltimore in this game meant.
Coach Dungy probably thought that was noteworthy because I was Coach Dungy trained. The year that I worked for Coach, back in 2001, it was regular procedure for us to wear pads on Friday. 2001, man, particularly in short yardage, it was a fullback-based game. There were a lot of dominant fullbacks. Our fullback was a really good player, Mike Allstott.
Yeah.
And so Fridays, man, the pad level associated with short yardage and goal line was significant. And you couldn't just talk about it, you had to be about it. And so every Friday, particularly the early portions of the year, not only us, but most teams in the National Football League carried pads at least through the front part of those practices when they worked on short yards and goal line. Sometimes it'd be a break, and if coach wanted to throw you a bone, you could take off your shoulder pads at the break. But that was every Friday procedural business for all of us in the game as recently as 2001. Obviously, the game trends and changes and moves, and we move with it. But given the style of ball that we were getting ready to play against Baltimore, I thought it was appropriate to turn back the clock, because we essentially were turning back the clock on Sunday night with the style of play that both teams had planned to employ in the game. And so really it was just fun to do that and fun to present that to our guys in the form of a story to educate them the reasons why.
And it resulted in you completely turning what happened here in Pittsburgh around, in that you dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides. Talk about your run game, your offensive line, and even though you seem to be a one-back guy, Najee Harris, along with Jaylen Warren, seemed to be a really nice compliment.
Yeah, I'm a two-back guy if I got two backs. There was a commitment there, but the commitment's just words. We did appropriate action leading up to the game, and then our big guys up front, I think, really did a nice job of providing the wave that we all rode, whether it was Najee or Jaylen or just the collective in general. I thought the big men, in terms of their finish, their commitment in terms of getting hands and hats on second-level defenders. We talked a lot about that linebacker tandem of 18 and 6, and they're special. Unblocked linebackers make tackles, and so it was important that we got up on the second level and got hands on them. and largely we were able to do those things, and that's why we had the type of day we had.
But you were in a similar situation to the Raiders game. You needed a last-second, not just field goal drive, but a touchdown drive, and your quarterback delivered. I want to talk about that drive, and if you combine the numbers of the last two fourth-quarter drives, 12 of 15, 139, what is your impression of what he's done in those situations? And I know you practice it a lot, but man, to see it unfold on the big stage is something.
You know, I've said this quite a bit, and maybe I don't know that people believe me, but it's true. I don't think any of us are surprised by his ability to do that. I think things such as that was the linchpin for us in terms of selecting him in the draft. Our knowledge of him, the close proximity of his college exploits really created a sense of comfort and a knowledge of some of the intangible things that at greater distances you're less familiar with. Geographical distances in terms of knowing what a guy is about. And particularly at the quarterback position, but all positions, that intangible quality, that competitive spirit, the ability and willingness to rise up in tough times and it bringing out the best in you is something that we better ascertain information about and gain an understanding about a guy's capabilities in those areas. And we are very familiar with his, and we do acknowledge its existence, and you know that's why we're not extremely surprised, to be quite honest with you.
I like what you said last week. I think it applies. I didn't see big eyes. I see sure eyes. Specifically when he rolls to his left, that's a hard throw to make. It seems to be very comfortable with it. When you see that on most quarterbacks, you don't see the accuracy.
Yeah, it's a component of his game. That's another thing that we were really attracted to in the evaluation process. Quarterback mobility is a component of ball in today's game. Not only in terms of the design run game component, RPOs and things of that nature, but the ability to throw the ball from a variety of platforms, to throw on the move, left, right, etc. He had all of those things, and it's not as significant a discussion as maybe it used to be, because to be quite honest with you, a lot of quarterbacks coming out today have those things from a mobility standpoint. Mobility at the position, particularly at the college level, is such a significant component that it is less of a critical discussion because so many guys kind of have it. Now, maybe not the pinpoint accuracy and things of that nature, but just general athleticism and mobility.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about your defensive scheme. This team came into Pittsburgh and ran the ball. That's what they do. This time they did a little bit, but not nearly as much. Leal has become a regular part, but Mark Robinson, this is you seem to really like undrafted guys who you see, can take that stage and work with it and grow within your system.
Yeah, it's a couple of things. First of all, he has some traits that you can't coach, and I'm always interested in that. He has an appetite for confrontation and the physical component of the game, and that's something that we can't coach. They come with that, and so that's exciting. The other things, teaching, learning, anticipation, feel for the game, we can assist with a large component of those things. And so that's probably the story of Mark Robb in terms of him getting an opportunity to ascend over the course of the journey that is the season. He's getting better. He's learning some of the things that are coach things, but he's maintained those things that aren't coach things, which is his competitive spirit, his physicality, and things of that nature. In regards to Leal and the schematic packages, we just did what was appropriate. Baltimore essentially plays goal line offense all over the field. I'm a big All the Right Moves fan, Tom Cruise, that old movie, 6'2" stack monster. We wanted to employ essentially goal line defense in open grass because they were essentially employing goal line offense in open grass, and the rest is about the skills and talents of the guys in terms of defeating blocks and making plays.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be no Craig T. Nelson cameo this Sunday at 1 o'clock, but will Kenny Pickett need to show all the right moves again in the fourth quarter of the Steelers season finale? We'll take a look at the Browns defense that will aim to play spoiler this week at Acrisure Stadium. We'll also get Coach Tomlin's scouting report on Nick Chubb and the Browns running game. That's next. Still to come, we had a chance to go one-on-one with the anchor of the offensive line, Mason Cole, to talk continuity along that line. We have that and a bunch more right after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
It's another edition of January football for the Steelers on Sunday. It's a Week 3 rematch that saw the Browns run their way to a 29-17 victory. But that was then, and this is now. The Steelers are 6-2 since the bye and riding a 3-game win streak. So, Coach, it's been the ground game that has really been the difference since the bye, both offensively and defensively. You're familiar with Nick Chubb. In the first meeting, he had a big day on the ground. You made adjustments last week to quell that Baltimore run game. What do you need to do this week for him?
Well, I call him Mr. Chubb. That's just the level of respect I have for him, not only in terms of what he's done in Cleveland, but, you know, we don't talk enough about his body of work, man, in Athens. This guy's a grown man runner. He's been doing it for a long time and at a high level for a long time. For us, we got to throw a certain appropriate amount of schematics at him. That's a component of it, but also the guy's got to whoop blocks and make tackles, and I think that's the component of it when you talk about Chubb and even Hunt, that tandem that makes them special in Cleveland. The runners themselves, their contact balance, their lower body leg strength and their leg drive through contact is challenging and special. Chubb with his leg drive. Hunt is just his build, man. He's long torsoed. He doesn't have a really comfortable strike surface. They're really challenging guys. They're tough tackles, both of them. And so the fundamental tackling component is going to be big, and there are no schematics for that. Guys got to do a really good job of whooping blocks and making tackles.
Last time you saw them was Jacoby Brissett. You haven't seen Deshaun Watson in a while. He's back with them. Seemed to have his best game last week. Is there a rust factor involved with him when you miss that much time, or do you see a guy who is picked up pretty much where I think a lot of people expected him to be?
I'm sure there is. I don't know that I'm familiar enough with him or his game to assess it in that way. When he was in Houston, we didn't play him enough and see him enough for me to have him kind of in that category. But it's reasonable to expect that there's going to be some rust associated with lack of activity. That's why we work, and that's why we work daily, continually. And so that's a reasonable expectation. But with 4 games or so under his belt, I imagine with each passing day, it becomes less of a significant discussion.
You know, I look back at that game. That was the George Pickens one-hand catch game, and I remember those kinds of things. Take me back when you saw that happen. You've seen it in practice today, but I mean, we've seen more of that as he has continued his season.
I don't know that it even struck a chord with me, to be honest with you. Like we're talking about Kenny, we've seen enough of those type of traits in George, and we've come to expect it. Not that we don't appreciate it, but I don't know that we spent a great deal of time sitting around talking about it like it's something that we hadn't seen before. And that's the beauty of professional sport. When you're around elite talent, they make difficult things seem routine. And when you're in that environment continually, you get accustomed to seeing it. And so there's less discussion about it, but at the same time, you acknowledge that it's special. I imagine it's the same in all sports. You're in a baseball setting, people are taking BP and they're putting balls 500 feet and stuff away from home plate. You're watching guys shoot threes from 35 feet at an NBA practice, etc. It's just a function of being the very best at what it is that they do. And I just think that that's the level of appreciation that we should have for the talents of the people that do sports at an extreme high level.
Kenny Pickett didn't play against the Browns the first time. He's there now. They have Myles Garrett. They also have a pretty active defense, which intercepted Carson Wentz 3 times last week. What's he have to be aware of with them?
It's less about them and it's more about him, his growth and development, the trajectory of his game, his decision-making, the fluidity of it, the sureness of it. And so I just think every week he gets an opportunity to grow in those areas. The nameless great faces that we play provide different sets of variables that capture his focus. But to me, it's his journey. It's the things that he does and the growth that he experiences and the rate in which it occurs that I think is a significant portion of that discussion.
Well, it's a journey that's off to a pretty good start, especially the last few weeks. Pickett is the first rookie quarterback in league history to lead a game-winning touchdown drive in the final minute of back-to-back games. After the break, we're going to bring you the 2022 Pro Football Writers' The Chief Award recipient, Mason Cole, who sat down with Dale Lawley to discuss what has caused the drastic change in the offense's ability to run the ball since the bye. Now, it's time for the Yins Chat Trivia question. Who holds the Steelers' single-game record for most rushing yards against the Browns? Willie Parker or Najee Harris? Find out after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Your Yins Chat trivia answer is Willie Parker with his 223-yard performance in Week 14 of the 2006 season. Yins Chat is the official predictive and trivia game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Make your picks, win prizes, play Yins Chat exclusively on Steelers' official mobile app. You know, Steelers' second-year running back Najee Harris is just 46 yards shy of his second consecutive 1,000-yard season. And if you ask him, he goes as the offensive line goes. Everyone knew this would be a work in progress, but down the final stretch of the regular season, they've proven to be a strength of the team. Dale Lally had an opportunity to catch up with one of the unit's newfound leaders, center Mason Cole, in this week's One-on-One.
Mason, you won the Chief Award. That's given to the player who works the best with the media. But nobody has ever won that award in their first year with the Steelers. What made that so easy for you, and what does that award mean to you?
Yeah, I said this earlier. I think just my time at Michigan helped me prepare for situations like this and dealing with media. I had some good mentors at Michigan, their PR guy, Dave Avloff, and that really just prepared me for dealing with the media in the NFL. And I was always told to be open and answer questions and be honest with the media, and that's what I've just tried to do. So it's pretty cool.
Let's go. Power forward, forward. High energy bigs. Now's the time. Let's go.
So you guys on the offensive line, in the first half of the season, the team averaged about 94 rushing yards per game. Since the bye week, it's 146 rushing yards per game. A 50-yard difference. What changed at the bye? I know you guys were kind of challenged a little bit to, start setting the tone there, but was it just that, or did something start to click?
Yeah, I think we're just in terms of execution. I think we're just executing better. The plays really haven't changed. We're executing our blocks better. Najee and Jalen and Benny and all of our backs been running really, really well, and so hats off to them. But I think we just understood at a point in time in the season that we were going to have to run the ball efficiently to have a successful offense. And once we started doing that, running the ball well, I think we've seen how explosive and efficient our offense can be and just control games. And I think we've done, for the most part, a pretty good job, at least in the second half of the season.
And we all know offensive linemen love to run block. Right?
Yeah, of course, of course. It makes our job easier, but on top of that, it makes rookie quarterback's job easier. It opens up our passing game. Like I said, it just, as an offense as a whole, it makes us more efficient across the board.
You guys have all stayed healthy for the most part. How much does that help with the continuity of everything?
It's huge. I think the big part about offensive line is getting reps together, especially when you got two new guys in there, me and James, that haven't been in the system, haven't been around these guys before this year, just stacking reps all the way from OTAs to training camp to preseason, and then as the season's gone on. And I think we've seen that just getting better, continually getting better each week, being more efficient in the run game and just being better. Like I said, the plays haven't changed, it's just we're executing them better.
You mentioned the running of your backs.
Taking on a couple guys, says, no, you're not bringing me down. Warren plows into the end zone for his first rushing touchdown in a black and gold uniform.
Kenny Pickett has also added a little bit to that as well with his movement. Is there a difference when you're blocking for a young quarterback like that as opposed to an older quarterback or a mobile quarterback like that? You had one in Kyler Murray when you were in Arizona. I mean, it's a little bit different than just a guy where you know he's going to be in the pocket all the time.
I think the big thing for us is a mobile quarterback can get us out of a lot of trouble. We're not always perfect up there, and Kenny's done a really good job using his feet and making plays when protection breaks down or things don't go our way. It's just part of the game. Adding that use of quarterback mobility is huge, and it opens up a lot of our offense. You can extend plays. You can use quarterback mobility situationally, and whether it be runs or short yardage, whatever it might be, it adds a whole other aspect of our offense.
Hey, just a reminder, you can catch the full interview on the Steelers YouTube page or by scanning the QR code below. You know, the Steelers have played the Browns 16 times in season finales. In those games, Pittsburgh holds a 15-1 record over their rivals, Cleveland. They're going to need to make it 16-1 if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. For more on that, it's now time for the keys to the game presented by your neighborhood Ford store. All right, now let's talk to Mike Tomlin about the keys to this game. And I guess number one would be third down efficiencies, because when you played them last, you were 1 for 9. Significant improvement on both sides of the ball. That's going to be a key, I would imagine.
It is. It's going to be significant. The distance of those third downs also is going to be significant. They were very successful on third down, but they had 5 third down and ones in the second half alone last time. Obviously, everybody's going to convert third and one at a pretty high rate, and so it's not just the possession downs, it's the distance within those downs. If we're doing what it is we're supposed to do, we'll be in manageable third downs. They'll be in longer third downs, and really that's the story within the story that what transpired last time. We weren't in third manageable enough, and they were too often, and so that'll tee up that weighty moment.
They've been eliminated, but that doesn't mean they have nothing on their agenda. They would like nothing more to come here and spoil your season. A team like that, how dangerous is a team like that, knowing that they don't have anything to play for except ruining your season?
It depends on the men. It depends on their will. It depends on their football character. How are they going to respond when things get uncomfortable? Are they going to be extreme competitors, or are they going to be reasonable men looking at their offseason? Not just as it applies to them, but as it applies to all of us in week 18 of an NFL schedule. Hopefully you do the things over the course of the journey that you instill the type of values in your group, that those things are less of a discussion. I know Kevin Stefanski, I've known him for a long time. I know that's going to be his agenda with his group.
How do you keep your team focused? You've done a very good job of it, knowing that you need outside help. And I know people talk about scoreboard
There's
watching.
enough battle going on in stadium. It's funny to me sometimes feeling that question when you got people like 42 from Baltimore standing across the line from you, or Marlon Humphreys. There's enough challenges in stadium that's not a bigger issue as people think it is. You'll get your butt kicked in your stadium if you're not hyper-focused.
Well, Coach, appreciate the time. All the best to you on Sunday.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for the Mike Tomlin Show. Again, the game is 1 o'clock, KDKA. We'll follow it up with 2 hours of post-game. Steelers and Browns. Steelers trying to get back into those playoffs. We have it for you on KDKA. That's going to do it for all of us here. Thank you for watching the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show, and we'll see you again next week.